Hi, I'm Nolan Ross, a Customer Success Manager here at DataSet, now a part of SentinelOne. Today we'll be looking at troubleshooting video with DataSet. I'll run through a few different scenarios utilizing some alerts and some dashboards that were created, looking at the log lines, trying to find the answers that you need in a troubleshooting scenario. But before that, I'd like to just kind of talk about what separates us from our competitors. And the first thing I want to talk about is keyword indexing, which is what a lot of our competitors might be using. The idea is that as data is ingested, keyword indexing is pulling out your various words, numbers, tokens in the data set, and then keeping track of them in an index. So when you search for those words that are built out, the index can help you search. And while this works great for things like web search, good for data that doesn't change very often, something like the top 10 results for a given phrase, none of this is good for logging. You've got machine generated material, so it can be any combination of letters and numbers that have very high cardinalities. Data that also changes really rapidly. So if you're wanting to troubleshoot something, you don't want just the top 10 matches. You need to be able to search everything at a quick result and find that needle in a haystack. So instead of using the keyword index, we built our own column store database. And the idea is that as data is coming in, we split it into columns. An example that we're looking at here, you might have a web access log with different values. You've got your IP address, user agent, etc. All these items are broken up into columns and stored together on disk. So when you search and you're searching against a specific field, we can focus on that particular field rather than having to scan across all the data. And the way that we're able to do this effectively is through our massively parallel search architecture. And DataSet is delivered as a hosted service, and we're able to provide you an incredible amount of compute power when it comes time to do a search. Your data is sharded amongst multiple servers, and all those servers participate in delivering search results. We're able to provide you a huge amount of compute power at a cost-effective rate because these servers are sharded amongst all of our customers. And what we're looking at now, the overview page in our DataSet account. So we've got some Kubernetes clusters, an e-commerce web app running, image servers, MySQL servers. This is a demo account that ingests nearly 2 billion log lines each month, which makes this account one with a fair amount of scale. And I just want to give you that frame of reference as we move through this, and you can see how fast and responsive the system is. I'll start with the alerts because we got a very good, robust alerting system. And for troubleshooting, this is where you might be coming. And so we've maybe got one like a delay over 7.5 seconds, which is a good example here. And so you can see here that this has been triggered. The scenario could be that maybe we're concerned about our response time, that anything over 7.5 seconds I want to be alerted on. It's going to look for different pages that are more than 7.5 seconds to load. So in the 2-minute period, I've got this, it's going to fire off an alert. And what's nice here is that I can be notified via an email address or a Slack or a webhook, but I can easily go into the search page here. And you can see that it's immediately showing me the time MS is greater than 7.5 seconds, 7,500 milliseconds. And this is nice because it shows me exactly what I'm wanting from that actual alert. Another way that we can see this is I can come in through a dashboard. So I'm going to go to my dashboards here, and I've got a web server. And this gives me a heads-up display on a number of different metrics for my web servers. And similar to the alert, I want to look at the response time. So if I click here, view and search, and do the P99, I can zoom in and see the 99th percentile of my response times. And this goes right to the graph page, which is nice. And I'm seeing these spikes in my log lines here, and there's some slow performance coming in. And what's nice is that I can go right into the log lines by going to show logs. And you can see that I'm seeing a number of different log lines have been parsed out by various attributes or facets. And I can see what server hosts are involved. And I can look at my response times, time MS. And if I click on the graph values, it'll take me right to the graphs. And I can go back. Now let's say I want to look at maybe a histogram. I want to see the distribution of this time MS and server host. I can click on the distribution. And I can see here that most of my responses are coming in less than 5 seconds, but there are some that maybe there's a long tail. If I scroll over here, I'm seeing some that are coming in a little over 10 seconds to 15 seconds. So something that could be what I want to look into later, share with a colleague to troubleshoot. If I flip back over to the log lines, I have the ability to narrow down. For example, I can click on the page here within the search bar, and I'm only seeing friends. If I go through here and maybe do 48 hours, that sort of thing, I might be getting more results. But right here I can see the friends value. And so what I'm doing is I'm building out a search within this search bar. But if I wanted to, I can type the search myself. So maybe I want to go back, look at the page friends, and with time MS, I want to see greater than 7.5 seconds. A lot like we saw in the alert. And there you go. So I've got a query here, and I'm looking at slow performing transactions, and you can see that they're happening in bursts. Within the log lines, you can see that there's a number of fields available to me. And if I click on one, this drawer pops out, and it gives me more details about each line. Clicking out will close that drawer, but I can kind of click through here and see the different ones that are coming in with this page selected. One feature I want to point out here is this request ID right here, and that is using a smart link. And so by clicking on that, DataSet has this feature that allows me to build out a hyperlink based on the content of a log line or a field. And so right now I'm actually linking to another DataSet search. So when I click on that, I can see that actual request ID that's been built out with a smart link, and we've got 8 different matching events. If I wanted to go and add 12 hours, I might have more. Looks like I don't, but I could build that out if this is something that I'm seeing this request ID coming in through a lot. This is helpful. So for solutions such as the e-commerce, if you want to track a transaction with a smart link, you might have that request ID tied to that. But as you can see, this starts that new search with that request ID. And so any of these linked log lines could be helpful in troubleshooting if you see something that stands out. And one thing I do want to point out, as we are looking for things that are standing out for troubleshooting, is this invalid cache detected. And so if I highlight that, it's actually asking me, do I want to add this to my search? I want to exclude it, or maybe I want a new search with just this. So if I'm seeing, hey, maybe this invalid cache detected is, I've been hearing about this, I've received a ticket, and perhaps it's something I want to look into further, I can click on this and do a new search with that. And I can actually see this is happening a lot on various servers. You can see I've got apps for 4. It's affecting a lot of different servers within this 4-hour time period that we've got defaulted. And so since this is happening on all these different servers, it could be a type of database issue that I would want to escalate to another team or team member. And this is all very helpful in troubleshooting. As you can see that I've been able to switch between search, graphs, and alert, dashboard to find the answers that I need. And I can easily just share this if I want to, copy the link, save it as well. One more example I want to show as we wrap up is I'm going to go back to my web server dashboard. Just so you can see the flexibility of our graphing functionality. And if I look at my response bandwidth, I want to show a breakdown of graph of all the bytes coming in from a web server. And I might want to slice this down, and I can hone in on something like the URI path. and then do a breakdown graph. And what I can see here is the different URI paths that have data coming in, which are more than others. I'm going to expand this to maybe a little bit further out. There we go. So I got a little bit more data there. But what you can see is that those some of these have a lot more spikes. But I can see for my bandwidth, this friends here and this report abuse, those are causing more bandwidth, higher amounts. And so I can maybe look into that, look into ways to optimize that, make sure that it's being seen by the right people. And that's the whole point of being able to show that. So those are just a few examples in working with DataSet and getting you to the answers you need. I hope this has been a helpful video for you, and you can always reach out to support@dataset.com for any questions. Thanks.